Robert Plank Show, episode 336 Relationship Building, Social Media Marketing, and High Ticket Coaching with America's leading LinkedIn coach, Ted Prodromou. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the program. We're talking right now with Ted Prodromou, and Ted is America's leading LinkedIn coach, and he's the best-selling, award-winning author of The Ultimate Guide to LinkedIn for Business and The Ultimate Guide to Twitter for Business. And Ted is a frequent contributor to Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneur.com, and DigitalMarketer.com. Now, Ted is an online advertising consultant, and he generates leads for his clients using Google AdWords, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and through social selling. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. Mr. Ted, glad to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you. And so we talked about all kinds of fun stuff. And so, I mean, what has you excited these days? Is it social selling, or what are you working on right now?
I've been getting so much traction from LinkedIn for the last couple of years, and all these new updates they recently did after Microsoft bought them, the unlimited opportunity. It's huge.
So can you kind of like walk us through LinkedIn? Because I think I've had like four or five LinkedIn guests on the show, and every time someone gets on, it like motivates me to go back and log in and kind of check what's been going on. But I feel like most marketers I talk to about LinkedIn, they say, "Oh yeah, like I set that up like 5 or 10 years ago," and then when I log in, I feel like I have like hundreds of notifications of like connections and things people like talked about. And what excites me lately are the LinkedIn blogs, but like I log in and I kind of don't really know much of what I'm looking at. So you can kind of like walk us through like what's important with LinkedIn, especially for us sort of internet marketer entrepreneur types.
Sure. Well, last week I spoke at a Chamber of Commerce meeting. So they had a lunch and learn, and I asked them, how many people are on LinkedIn? They're all on LinkedIn. Most hardly use it. And I said, how many people got business from LinkedIn? And 3 people raised their hands. Then I said, how many people got business from the 50 other people in this room? Every single one of them raised their hands. I said, what's the difference? I said, well, face to face, we treat people like we're humans. For some reason, when we get online, we treat people like they're bots at the other end of our conversations. So if you treat people like we're talking face to face here right now, treat each conversation on LinkedIn like we're having this one here.
Okay.
It works like magic. It takes time. That's what people don't like. You can't send an email to 1,000 people and get 10 sales or 20 sales. You got to work each one. But I literally get all my clients from there, and they're high-end clients. I don't bother with the cheap stuff anymore. It's go for the quality.
And that's even how we got to being on the show. Like I just happened to log in on LinkedIn. I happened to see some sort of message, and I just said, all right, well, here's this dude. I'll just shoot him a reply personally and say, let's hook up on the show. And so like if someone is just signing up for LinkedIn or maybe hasn't used it in a while and they log in and they're trying to make sense of it, I mean, what about LinkedIn should people be sort of focused on these days?
Your profile is the key to success. So 60% of traffic's mobile now. So the first thing they see is your picture, and you can put that background header now. They have a little banner space you can use to get your message out there. So that's your first impression, and also your professional headline is what they see. So who are you looking for? What's their biggest problem? How do you solve that problem? If you take those 3 aspects and get it into your LinkedIn profile, people will find you and search for you and actually reach out to you to connect.
Okay, so those things are have the backgrounds, know who's looking for you, and what's your biggest problem. Are those the three things?
Yeah, what problems do you solve for these people?
Okay, and then can you sort of walk us through that process? Like, how does someone go if because I'm sure that a lot of people like haven't thought about this, right? Maybe they say like I have a website or I have a product or I am in this niche, and maybe people haven't sort of like thought about that. So do you have like an interesting kind of story like that? Like, do you have like a client or someone that you spoke to where like they had no idea and you sort of set them right or sort of set them on the right path?
Yeah, oh yeah. So by default, LinkedIn takes your job headline of your current job and puts it in under your name. It puts your job title in your company. It's like you search for an accountant. There's like 1.5 million accountants on LinkedIn. So how are you different than those accountants? So I'm working with JV Crum right now. He's the conscious millionaire. And his podcast is like 13 million downloads in a year. because he set his intention to become the top podcaster. So he had the same, really boring LinkedIn profile. So we've been testing headlines. Think of your professional headline as a headline. You want people to click on that ad. You see a Google ad. How do you get people to click on that ad? So you want to click on your profile. And the more profile views you get, the more appointments you're going to get, the more business you get, just like your website. So my whole focus I teach my clients is drive people to view your profile. That's through SEO, keywords. It's about posting content. It's about liking and commenting and sharing other people's content. And just starting little conversations every day on LinkedIn.
And so, how much time do you personally spend on LinkedIn every day on this sort of stuff?
So now that I've got my system down, I spend about 15 minutes in the morning, maybe 15 minutes at lunchtime. And maybe on the weekend, I'll do like a half hour, just kind of, sharing stuff and sending it out.
And do you sort of like when you spend those 15-minute chunks, do you kind of just log in and do whatever's there, or do you have a specific thing? Like, do you say, "Well, I'm going to share, 5 things," or "I'm going to send 5 messages," or like, what do those 15 minutes look like?
Yeah, so I really get clear on every day. I'm saying, okay, today I'm going to view people's profiles. It's like last week I said, I work with a lot of financial advisors. So I did a search for financial advisors in Pittsburgh. And I just sat there while I was eating breakfast, clicking on profiles, viewing their profiles. And what happens is they get notified they viewed my profile. And about 20% of the time, they actually connect with me. They reach out and connect with me. So I could reach out to them and send them an invitation to connect. But it's like a cold call. It's like me picking up the phone and calling you and say, hey, hey, I saw your name. I just want to connect with you. And then they try to sell you something. But if I view your profile and you come back to me, it's like you're a warm lead now because you saw something in my profile you liked and you want to connect with me. And
Interesting.
then, so it's a whole different approach. Some people teach, send out 100 invitations a day. It's like, well, that's like calling 100 people on the phone that don't know you.
Right. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work for not a lot of return, but if you kind of like play the long game, it sounds like, and just like do a little bit of this every day, it sounds like it adds up to a lot. And so, could you kind of explain this viewing thing on LinkedIn? Because I think I know how it works, but I'm not quite sure because I know that on Facebook we all kind of creep on each other's profiles and
Right,
we have no
right.
idea who's looking. And then on LinkedIn, I know that like when I log in, there'll be some sort of a list, and there'll be like 10 people, and they'll say these people viewed your profile, and sometimes it'll tell me exactly who, but sometimes it'll be sort of vague. And I've also heard about some of the software that will like sort of do the spamming, like they'll like view a bunch of other profiles from your name to sort of help get that. So can you kind of like unpack this whole
Sure.
LinkedIn viewing sort of weird situation here?
So the LinkedIn algorithm looks at your profile, looks at the industry you're in, keywords that are in your profile, your job experience, where you went to school, and he has a profile, just like Facebook has a profile of us, Google has a profile. So if you're viewing my profile, in the sidebar, it says people also viewed. So the algorithm associates your profile with a bunch of other people they think are similar to you. And a couple of years ago, they used to tell us where our profile views came from, and 40% of my profile views come from that people also viewed. So if you look at that, what it shows is your picture, your name, and your professional headline. So if you treat that like an online ad, you want people to click on that, they're going to come to your profile and read more about you. So that's what I do. And I use some of those software tools. You can automatically view these profiles. They're like $15 a month. So I do a search for like, Pittsburgh financial advisor. And then I just view these profiles. And then they come back, and then it starts a conversation. I say, oh yeah, I do a lot of work with financial advisors. Here's a case study I did with some financial advisors. Start conversations with them.
Interesting. And then so I think that LinkedIn has like a paid level, right? Don't they?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what's the difference with that? Because I think like I imagine that like certain things are unlocked, or maybe you show up better in the views or something. But can you kind of explain to us like the free versus paid, and is paid worth it?
Yeah, the free, they limit the number of searches you can do a month. They'll say you need to buy a commercial account. You've exceeded your threshold of searches for the month. So that's one reason it's worth getting the paid version. Plus, they give you more search fields. They really limited it with this latest update. How many search fields? So you can only search by like location and job title. And if you get the paid version, you get a lot more. You can dig deeper and find your better clients. And then you can set automated searches from that too, right within LinkedIn. So I have a profile of certain company sizes I want to work with, some certain job titles, and the search runs 24/7. And every week I get an email saying, here's 422 more leads that are personal coaches in the United States. So the paid gives you all that activity like that.
And so, and you mentioned a few times that like you'll do these searches for like a certain area, like financial, like Pittsburgh financial advisors, things like that. Are you using these to get clients, or like what's sort of the end goal for you doing these sorts of searches?
So once I connect with them, I send a welcome message. And if I reach out to connect them, I send a custom invitation. I customize the message, say, hey, I came across your profile. We both went to University of Pittsburgh. I'd like to connect with you. And they'll connect with you. Or if they reach out and connect with me, I'll send them a welcome message of, hey, thanks for connecting, and start a conversation basically. Like, if there's anybody in my network you want to meet, let me know. I'll introduce you. Then I drive them to my website. I say, I have a LinkedIn. Oh, this is the great one. My assistant came up with this last year. Said, just for fun, tell me something interesting about you or your company. 25% of the time, people respond to that and tell me something interesting about them or their company. So that starts a conversation. Then I say, you want to learn something interesting about me, visit my LinkedIn friends page, and I drive them to my website where I pixel them with Facebook. LinkedIn has a pixel now, and Google. So I'm building these audiences by driving people. Then they get on my email list. I follow up with them there. And I try to start these little conversations on LinkedIn and get them into my funnel.
Interesting.
It's like magic. It takes time each day. And you can have an assistant do it. Obviously, you can hire a virtual assistant, say, cut and paste these messages, do this, do that. It's a very simple process. It's just time consuming.
So just to make sure I'm sort of following along here, so you choose who you wanna kind of add to your network, who you want to go after, and you view these different profiles, and then you get some of them responding to you, or you connect with some of them and say I'd like to connect with you, and then once that sort of conversation happening, any way it happens, then you ask. Just for fun, can you tell me something about you or your company? And then they do, and then you tell them something about you and yours, and send them to your website and get them pixeled, and then slowly just start sort of working them up the ladder. Is that on the right track?
It's a long-term strategy. It's not a way to generate clients tomorrow.
And then
You can be, some people are real aggressive and send those long messages trying to sell. But it's like sending spam emails. You might get a client, but overall, you're not going to get good clients and long-term clients.
and I've noticed that just when I log into LinkedIn and I'm sort of like sifting through just all the stuff that's kind of ended up on my inbox in the last couple of months, as I only check it. I need to check it more, but I've only been checking it, once every couple of months or so. And sometimes I'll get some of those emails that are like super long and cutesy and well worded, and I'm thinking like, there's no way you don't even know me, and you just sent like 2 pages. There's no way that's not a copy and paste. And so that makes a lot of sense. Your way sounds a lot easier. Just sort of put those feelers out there, get the conversations going, and then so I mean, where do these conversations with people like usually lead with you?
So my way, I get them on a strategy session or a consultation call, a 30-minute call. So as we build this relationship over time, then I just periodically I'll send out a message and, hey, I've got two open slots for my coaching program or something. Or if my Linked Accelerator training program's coming up, say, hey, I'm doing a live LinkedIn training program for the next 6 weeks. Would you like to join me? And I drive them to my web page where they can opt in.
Okay, and then it's like in keeping with your other sort of strategy, just like when that's coming up, you just kind of do a little bit every day, send those out one at a time, just to kind of slowly build that up.
Yeah. So I probably have like 30 conversations going on LinkedIn right now. Just little like text messages back and forth with people. Some have been going on for 6 months because they don't log in very often. I just got a message today from a guy I talked to last year and sent him a proposal. He said, hey, my client's ready to hire you now. Like, I didn't follow up this guy over a year. He reached back out to me. So now I got to dig out the proposal and find out what I offered this guy.
But I mean, good problem to have, right? They want to pay you money, and now you just have to figure out why that is.
Right.
Well, cool. And then so about this strategy call, can you kind of tell us like do you know what percentage of people end up on that or like, what's that all about?
I take them through a couple surveys before they get to it. Alex Mondosian taught me this. Like before he gets on the phone on a consultation call, they've gone through 3 surveys in his funnel. So
Oh,
he's
wow.
really pre-qualified them. So I try to pre-qualify them as much as possible. Like, are you making over $100,000 a year? Do you have money to pay me? Basically, I'm asking them. Those tire kickers.
Right. Right. So yeah, sort of filtering them through 3 surveys sounds like a really great way to kind of, thin that out. And then so once you have them on the phone, like what kind of stuff do you guys talk about?
So I use Alex's method actually. Alex lives near me, so we hang out a lot together. He uses the cost of inaction method. So you talk about, what's the product? You sell a $25,000 package, but your company's struggling, and you get in really feeling about their company where they're struggling, and then they say, "Well, I can't afford to hire you." So his response is, "Well, what's it costing you not to hire me? Your family, you may not be able to pay the rent next month. You may have to lay off employees." He just really hits those pain points. So through those surveys, he's gathered this information. So he's taught me how to set up these surveys so I know exactly what they've been over the last 6 months, what their big pain points have been. They say, what is it if you don't hire me, you may have to lay off 3 employees. Who are you going to lay off next month? Which 3?
It's
So,
kind of harsh, but it sounds like it gets the job done.
yeah, he does 100K client coaching clients now. He
Cool.
raised his from 25 to 100K. This system he set up for 3 years testing.
Cool. So you do this LinkedIn stuff. You get to talking with them. You run them through some surveys. You sort of get the information, and it almost sounds like by the time you have them on the phone, it's almost like you know their problems, and you're sort of like sometimes reading their problems back to you, or sometimes having them sort of re-explain their problems to you to kind of reinforce it. Is that sound right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And so, I mean, how long do these sort of coaching calls take? Like, I imagine that they go by pretty quick if you've already got them through 3 surveys, right?
Yeah, I just schedule 30 to 45 minutes with them. That's it. That's all it
Okay.
takes.
And then, so by the time you sort of get to that time where you're sort of like get landing that sale and saying, what's the cost of inaction and all that fun stuff. I mean, what kind of packages are you selling to these people?
So I do a 5K package, which is a 6-week coaching program one-on-one. And then I have 25K where I do a lot of the work for them, help them set up this LinkedIn sales funnel. So I get them down, set up that LinkedIn friends page. I help them write messages to send to people on LinkedIn. And then I also set up a one marketing campaign for them. So here's 7 messages in your follow-up sequence and help them with all that.
Cool. So $5,000 you'll kind of give them the campaign and they can do it, or $25,000 you'll do the campaign for them.
It'll be like a done with you for the 5K, 25K, it's done for you.
Awesome. I mean, that sounds like it keeps things pretty simple. And so, is there ever a need for do you sell these packages sort of like on their own, or do you have to kind of walk people through the funnel to get them in there?
They usually just go through the funnel. I just seem to I've like 13,000 connections on LinkedIn now. So I've got so much activity. I get 10 to 20 connection requests a day. So my funnel is like self-fulfilling now. I don't run any ads anywhere.
Okay. You have enough going where you can just log in and send your messages, and it all kind of the river keeps flowing, right?
Yeah, I do like 5 to 10 sales calls a week. Some weeks. Some weeks they kind of pre-qualify them a little more. I kind of look at them and say, "Yeah, You're not quite ready." And I'll send them another questionnaire.
And
So
like, how do you have that sort of judgment? Is it just a matter of like having done it enough, or is there like something in like your checklist is sort of like are there certain like factors in there where like they have to be like have answered something before you move them on, or like how do you make that sort of judgment call?
a lot of times it's gut feeling. I got the survey information, the first couple surveys they've been through. So some of them just pre-qualify themselves right out of it. You don't make $100,000. I know you're not going to. I don't want to get them to their first 100K. I want to take them from 100K to a million.
Right, you don't want to be their first boyfriend, right?
Yes,
Well, cool.
exactly.
And so for people following along, is there an easy way for people to connect with you on LinkedIn and sort of get on this funnel?
Yeah, you can go Ted Prodromou. It's hard to spell, so If you go to thesocialmediaguy.com, it takes you to the website and you can connect with me that way.
Perfect. Thesocialmediaguy.com. And so, can you, since we're sort of talking about your website now, can you tell us about like anything else you have going on? I know we mentioned like your books and stuff like that. Anything going on besides this LinkedIn coaching?
I used to do a lot of Google ads and stuff for people. I just like the LinkedIn stuff so much right now. And I teach people to drive them to Facebook, build your whole social media environment. So I just coach them on that.
And so when people are looking for you for coaching for LinkedIn, like, are there people that do people like usually want to get these high end coaching clients, or do some of them just want to kind of build it up to get some traffic?
A lot of them are traffic, definitely.
Okay.
Like one thing I did, I took all my LinkedIn connections and you can export their email addresses. I uploaded it into Facebook and looked at the custom audience for it. The demographic information was amazing. I took my email list too. So my email list is like 13,000 people too. It's funny, my LinkedIn and email are about exactly the same. Took my email list, put it as a Facebook custom audience. Half of my audience is over 45 years old because I'm older. And most are senior executives, like 2/3 were senior executives, and almost all of them were making over 150K in this one segment of it. I was like, wow, I've got a very affluent audience here on my email list. I got to raise my prices.
Right. And that's a really good idea for everyone to do. So you can dump your LinkedIn connections into a file and dump your email list into a file, put it on Facebook, make a custom audience. That way you know the demographics, and then you can start running some Facebook ads to them. So lots of cool stuff there. And so
And Google too, you can do that too. So get the Google take on them too, the same people.
and then on top of all that, drop a pixel so that when they do click over from the ad, you get them on some more stuff.
And LinkedIn just added a pixel last month. They have a pixel now, and they're going to do retargeting. I went to LinkedIn headquarters last week and went to a workshop on LinkedIn ads, and I'm going again tomorrow for the second part of it. It was like 30 people were invited to this in their headquarters. It's like they're teaching me all the stuff about their ad platform and where they're going.
Oh, geez, sounds like a super secret meeting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So LinkedIn has this new sort of pixel, and are there any other important features of LinkedIn that people need to be paying attention to? Because I know that like I messed around with like LinkedIn groups a few years back, and I didn't really. I think I built it up to like 1,000 people or so, but got bored with it. Are there any things like that? Any sort of important LinkedIn features people are missing out on?
Groups are good, but there's so many now, and there just seem to be like spam buckets. People are just blasting content. There's no interaction like they used to have. So I don't spend as much time. I know a lot of people have success with groups, but I'm just focusing myself on building these networks, getting them off LinkedIn into my own funnel. And that's just working great for me.
Super duper. I mean, sounds like a pretty sort of like easy way to go about things. Get on LinkedIn, use it regularly. I think that I've been using it like I'm slowly ramping up. Like it used to be maybe once every 2 years, then once every 6 months. Now it's maybe once every like month and a half. So I'm slowly kind of getting more into it, but I just kept telling myself I don't need yet another kind of a time waster. But the sort of hearing about your process really opened my eyes, because if you say, well, I just do a few minutes a day, and then I do these views and I get them talking to me, and then we kind of chit chat and I get them to my site and get them through the surveys. It's like if at the end of the tunnel the final result is like a big sale or a recurring coaching client, that's definitely worth the time spent for those few minutes kind of getting the ball rolling. And some of these possibilities you've explained are pretty amazing, as far as like retargeting them on LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, running the ads, doing the custom audiences, lots and lots of fun stuff. And so, is there any way for people to get some of this sort of LinkedIn training from you other than the one-on-one coaching? Like if they don't want to go through that whole funnel, is there like a product or a course of yours of some kind?
Yeah, and I've got linkedaccelerator.com as my course. Not
Okay.
LinkedIn Accelerator, it's Linked Accelerator. And if you go to linkedaccelerator.com/free, there's a free 1 hour class there.
Super duper. So linkedaccelerator.com, like you said, not LinkedIn Accelerator, but LinkedAccelerator.com/free. linkedaccelerator.com/free. Make sure to check that out and see what Mr. Ted has to say about LinkedIn. And it seems like there's some people will sort of miss out on it and sort of not take it seriously, and they'll miss out. But people are making big time connections, big time money on LinkedIn. So make sure that you guys go there. And any other like last words or any other final websites to add here, Mr. Ted, or is it just go to linkedaccelerator.com/free?
Well, the biggest tip I could give people as they exit here, don't sell on LinkedIn. Focus on starting conversations and building relationships, which lead to sales calls. And you get so much more benefit out of it.
Perfect. Good advice. Build relationships and don't just go for that money grab. So thanks so much, Mr. Ted, for talking about LinkedIn and talking about your strategy of getting these coaching clients, but also a lot of places we need to focus on, and such as like that the background image and that headline. That was a really great tip there about how LinkedIn just throws in whatever job title, but if we use that headline to differentiate ourselves and get sort of that attention, that can lead to all those other sort of micro commitments, all those conversations and stuff like that. So lots of fun stuff, lots of exciting possibilities in LinkedIn. And thanks so much, Mr. Ted, for stopping by the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Have you had a chance to rate and review the show yet? If not, go right now to robertplank.com/iTunes, click the View in iTunes button, and click the Ratings tab. We would really appreciate a 5-star rating or whatever you think is fair, plus a quick 1-sentence review to tell us how we're doing. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.